Hello hockey fans and welcome back to another video. Last week, I released a video exploring why the 2003 NHL Entry Draft is one of, if not the greatest draft in league history. Now in the comments of that upload, a sizable number mentioned that I should make a similar video for the 2015 draft too. And though the event is only 7 years old at the time of this recording, I decided to take a closer look, and holy smokes were you guys right. After all, thanks to all the top prospects who lived up to the hype, and thanks to the numerous players who surpassed expectations, the 2015 draft is arguably the best draft since 2003 and one of the greatest events in recent memory. So in today's video, join me as we explore why the 2015 NHL Entry Draft was an overwhelming success. Now in order to examine just how great this draft was, let's look at all the first round picks that have clearly panned out in the several seasons after their selection. And to do that, let's work our way from the latest selection of the round all the way to the top of the draft. Strap yourselves in folks, this is gonna be a long one. Kicking things off, we have the 28th overall pick by the New York Islanders, Anthony Beauvillier. A reliable secondary scorer since entering the league, Anthony Beauvillier has spent parts of 7 seasons in the NHL, all with the Islanders, where he has scored 98 goals and 200 points in 434 games at the time of this recording. Though he is far from being a superstar, and he's produced modest scoring numbers each year, Beauvillier has reached the 20-goal plateau once, has passed the 30-point mark 3 times, and he is currently on pace to produce similar stats during the 22-23 NHL season. If that's not consistency, I don't know what is. Next up, we have the 25th pick by the Winnipeg Jets, Jack Roslovic. A decent middle six forward since entering the league, Jack Roslovic has spent parts of 7 seasons in the NHL, split between the Jets and the Columbus Blue Jackets, potting 61 goals and 155 points in 331 games at this point in time. While he hasn't come close to winning any awards, Roslovic has registered respectable numbers throughout his career, and he has taken his game to the next level since joining the Blue Jackets, so I imagine that he will remain with his hometown team for the foreseeable future. There's certainly worse ways for a draft pick to pan out, that's for sure. Moving on to the 24th selection by the Philadelphia Flyers, Travis Konecny. An underrated scorer from this draft class, Travis Konecny has spent the last 7 seasons exclusively with the Flyers, scoring 120 goals and 294 points in 449 games at this point in time. If that's not impressive enough though, Konecny made an appearance at the 2020 NHL All-Star Game. He has reached the 20-goal plateau on 3 separate occasions, and he is currently on pace to smash his career highs in goals and points during the 22-23 season. Scoring at over a point a game as a 25-year-old is a pretty great way to live up to expectations, don't you think? Now we have the 23rd overall pick by the Vancouver Canucks, Brock Boeser. A productive top 6 forward for many years now, Brock Boeser has played parts of 7 seasons in the show, all with the Canucks, where he has notched 125 goals and 272 points in 345 games at the time of this recording. Not only that, Boeser has also earned his fair share of accolades too, as he went to the 2018 NHL All-Star Game, was named All-Star MVP at the event, and he was a finalist for the 2018 Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year. Sure, his tenure in Vancouver has had its ups and downs, and he may be looking to play elsewhere, but given that he is currently on pace to register one of the most productive seasons of his entire career, things could have gone worse for him if you ask me. On to the 21st pick by the Ottawa Senators, Colin White. A solid depth forward for much of his career now, Colin White has spent parts of 7 seasons in the league, split between the Senators and the Florida Panthers, scoring 41 goals and 109 points in 250 games at this point in time. While he hasn't earned any accolades since joining the NHL, White has produced respectable numbers throughout his career, and he is currently on pace to register his most productive season in almost half a decade. So perhaps his move to Florida and a fresh start in a new city was the right decision after all. Next, we have the 20th pick by the Minnesota Wild, Joel Eriksson Ek. A middle six forward since entering the league, Joel Eriksson Ek has spent parts of 7 seasons in the NHL, all with the Wild, where he has potted 78 goals and 167 points in 368 games at the time of this recording. Though he has produced modest scoring numbers for much of his career now, Eriksson Ek served as an alternate captain of the Wild for 2 seasons, and he is currently on pace to set new career highs in both goals and points by a pretty sizable margin. So it looks like he is ready to break out in a very big way. Now we have the 18th overall pick by the Ottawa Senators, Thomas Chabot. A reliable top 4 defenseman throughout his career, Thomas Chabot has played parts of 7 seasons in the show exclusively with the Senators, scoring 48 goals and 203 points in 334 games at this point in time. While he has yet to earn any silverware during his NHL career, Chabot has worn an A on his jersey in each of the last 3 years. He was a 2019 NHL All-Star, and he registered the highest average ice time during the 2019-20 season at 26 minutes. Does that sound like a successful pick to you? Because it sure does to me. Moving on to the 17th pick by the Winnipeg Jets, Kyle Connor. One of the more underrated players of this draft class, Kyle Connor has spent parts of 7 seasons in the league, all with the Jets, where he has notched 189 goals and 371 points in 409 games at the time of this recording. Now, while his career numbers are certainly impressive enough, Connor has also earned several accolades too. As he scored the most goals by a rookie during the 17-18 season, he took a trip to the 2022 NHL All-Star Game and won last year's Lady Byng Trophy thanks to registering just 4 penalty minutes in 79 games. Given that he scored 47 goals and 93 points that year, and given that he was only penalised twice during that span, Connor has lived up to expectations and then some. Next up, we have the 16th pick by the New York Islanders, Matt Barzal. One of the Islanders' best players since joining the team, Matt Barzal has spent parts of 7 seasons in New York, notching 94 goals and 339 points in 389 games at this point in time. Not only that, Barzal has also earned his fair share of accolades, as he is a 2-time NHL All-Star and he won the 2018 Calder Trophy as Rookie of the Year. Though he has struggled to score goals during the current 22-23 season, Barzal is currently on pace to match his career high in points, which he set during his debut year in the league. God, I bet the Oilers wish they held on to this pick now, don't they? After all, how's Griffin Reinhart working out for you, Edmonton, huh? Now we have the 14th overall pick by the Boston Bruins, Jake DeBrusk. A consistent scorer since joining the league, Jake DeBrusk has spent parts of 6 seasons exclusively with the Bruins, where he has scored 100 goals and 194 points in 345 games at the time of this recording. Now, while he hasn't earned any awards or accolades, DeBrusk has reached the 20-goal plateau twice, he has passed the 40-point mark 3 times, and he is currently on pace to register the most productive season of his entire NHL career. Well, at least one of Boston's picks panned out that year, right, Bruins fans? On to the 12th overall pick by the Dallas Stars, Denis Gurianov. A reliable depth forward since entering the league, Denis Gurianov has played parts of 6 seasons in the show exclusively with the Stars, potting 45 goals and 98 points in 234 games at this point in time. While he is the least productive player in this video, and he has played less games than any other entry so far, Gurianov is finding his role in the show, as he has registered 1 20-goal season and 3 30-point seasons since joining the league. Sure, his current scoring pace isn't great, and he is grinding it out on the Stars' 4th line, but Gurianov certainly has the talent to work his way back up the depth chart. Next is the 11th pick by the Florida Panthers, Lawson Crouse. A solid middle 6 forward for much of his career, Lawson Crouse has spent parts of 7 seasons in the NHL, all with the Arizona Coyotes, where he has notched 66 goals and 122 points in 369 games at the time of this recording. Though he isn't the most productive player of his draft class, and he is still finding his rhythm in the league, Crouse has registered 1 20-goal season, he has scored 20 points or more on 4 separate occasions, and he is currently on pace to register the most productive season of his entire NHL career. There's certainly worse ways to pan out, that's for sure. It's taken us a while, but we finally reached the top 10 of the draft order. Now, if the previous 20 picks weren't impressive enough for you, the following group of players will knock it out of the park and then some. First up, we have the 10th overall pick by the Colorado Avalanche, Mikko Rantanen. One of the highest scoring players of his draft class, Mikko Rantanen has spent parts of 8 seasons in the show exclusively with the Avalanche, scoring 180 goals and 440 points in just 432 games at this point in time. Now, while he hasn't won any individual awards so far, the 2018 All-Star has worn an A on his jersey in each of the last 3 years. He has registered 3 30-goal seasons, and he helped Colorado clinch the 2022 Stanley Cup, making him the first and only player of this draft class to clinch a championship so far. Sounds like a pretty successful career if you ask me, folks. Next up is the 9th overall pick by the San Jose Sharks, Timo Meier. A productive player throughout his career, Timo Meier has spent parts of 7 seasons in the NHL as a member of the Sharks, where he has notched 136 goals and 289 points in 423 games at the time of this recording. Not only that, the 2022 NHL All-Star has also registered 2 30-goal seasons, has posted 2 60-point seasons, and is on pace to surpass both of these milestones once again during the current 22-23 season. Not bad, Meier. Not bad at all. Moving on, we have the 8th pick by the Columbus Blue Jackets, Zach Werenski. One of the best defensemen of his draft class, Zach Werenski has played the last 7 seasons with the Blue Jackets, scoring 79 goals and 245 points in 416 games at this point in time. Though he has yet to lift any silverware during his NHL career, the 2022 All-Star has earned several accolades over the years, as he has worn an A on his jersey in each of the last 2 seasons. He scored the most goals by a defenseman during the 2019-20 season, and he was a finalist for the 2017 Calder Trophy too. Considering that defensemen typically take longer to become NHL ready, and given that he has already produced a strong career in the league, I think it's fair to say that Werenski panned out, don't you? Now we have the 7th pick by the Philadelphia Flyers, Ivan Provorov. Another blue liner with an impressive tenure in the show, Ivan Provorov has spent the last 7 seasons exclusively with the Flyers, notching 60 goals and 202 points in 477 games at the time of this recording. While he hasn't earned any awards or accolades, Provorov has worn an A on his jersey in each of the last 3 seasons. He led all defensemen in goals during the 17-18 season, and he looks to have a long and successful career ahead of him, so he certainly could have panned out far worse if you ask me. Next is the 6th pick by the New Jersey Devils, Pavel Zacha. A middle 6 forward for much of his career, Pavel Zacha has spent parts of 7 seasons in the NHL between the Devils and the Boston Bruins, where he has potted 72 goals and 195 points in 411 games at this point in time. Though his scoring numbers are far more modest than some of the other players in this video, Zacha looks like he is ready to finally break out, as he is on pace to register the most productive season of his NHL career during his debut season in Boston. A change of scenery and a different role with a new organisation can work wonders for your career, you know. On to the 5th overall pick by the Carolina Hurricanes, Noah Hanifin. Owner of the most games played from this draft class, Noah Hanifin has spent the last 8 seasons in the NHL between the Hurricanes and the Calgary Flames, scoring 43 goals and 211 points in 542 games at the time of this recording. Though his only accolade so far is a trip to the 2018 NHL All-Star Game, the blue liner has proven himself as an elite 2-way defenseman. He puts up respectable scoring numbers every year, and he can shut down even the biggest of superstars on any given night. There aren't many players that can do all of that together, you know. Now we have the 4th overall pick by the Toronto Maple Leafs, Mitch Marner. One of the best players of his draft class, Mitch Marner has spent the last 7 seasons as a member of the Leafs, where he has notched 149 goals and 488 points in just 455 games at this point in time. While he hasn't earned any individual awards so far, the 3-time All-Star has served as an alternate captain in each of the last 4 seasons. He has reached the 20-goal plateau 4 times, and he has potted 60 points or more every single year, which sounds like a pretty successful tenure if you ask me. Next up is the 3rd overall pick by the Arizona Coyotes, Dylan Strome. Another top prospect who is living up to the hype, Dylan Strome has spent parts of 7 seasons in the league, split between 3 different teams, where he has potted 73 goals and 192 points in 301 games at the time of this recording. Though he hasn't produced the same numbers as the generational talent around him, and though he has taken a little longer to find his rhythm in the show, Strome seems to have finally found a home, as he has produced a strong start to the season as a member of the Washington Capitals, and he is on pace to register the most productive season of his entire NHL career. It may have taken him a while, but the Dylan Strome breakout train looks ready to leave the station. Penultimately, we have the second overall pick by the Buffalo Sabres, Jack Eichel. A generational talent who likely would have gone first during any other draft, Jack Eichel has spent the last 8 seasons in the show split between the Sabres and the Vegas Golden Knights, where he has potted 166 goals and 409 points in 435 games at the time of this recording. Though his exit from Buffalo was mired in controversy, and though he hasn't got his hands on any awards yet, the 3-time All-Star has worn a letter on his jersey during 4 of his 8 seasons in the league, and he has returned to his productive form since moving to Vegas, so expect him to take home some silverware over the coming years, folks. And finally, last but by no means least, we have the first overall pick by the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid. The greatest player of his draft class and the best player in the league right now, Connor McDavid has spent the last 8 seasons with the Oilers, where he has served as captain of the team for the last 7 years, and he has scored a whopping 263 goals and 749 points in only 514 games at the time of this recording. Now, while his scoring numbers are certainly impressive enough, McDavid has also got his hands on plenty of awards, as he has earned 4 Art Ross trophies, 3 Ted Lindsays, and 2 Hart Memorials too. Considering he has only just entered the prime of his career, he has already won more awards than most players ever will, and he seems to keep getting better with each passing year. McDavid has lived up to the hype, and then some. Now, it's worth mentioning that I've only highlighted the prospects that have played at least 200 NHL games since their selection, and we still ended up talking about 22 different picks. In fact, of the 567 games since the start of the 15-16 NHL season, 19 picks have played at least 250 games, 14 have played at least 350 games, while 4 have played at least 450 games at the time of this recording. However, since the 2015 draft took place only 7 years ago, and since all of these players have just entered the prime of their careers, there are several other first-round picks that are currently active in the league today who could well reach the 200 game mark over the coming seasons, including the 27th overall pick Jacob Lawson, the 22nd overall pick Ilya Samsonov, and the 19th overall pick Evgeny Svechnikov. While the first round turned out pretty well for itself, there were plenty of other solid picks during the later rounds too. For example, Sebastian Aho, Brandon Carlo, and Vince Dunn are some of the many active NHLers taken in the second round. Anthony Cirelli, Matthew Joseph, and Connor Garland are just a few of the notable names from the middle rounds, while Andrew Mangiapane, Marcus Nutavara, and Matt Roy are the most notable names from the later rounds too. I just realised that I didn't even mention Kirill Kaprizov, who was a 5th round pick during the 2015 draft, and he's arguably one of, if not the best player, compared to all the other names that I just mentioned in this part of the video. So Kirill Kaprizov, don't forget about him, he's a pretty good player too, you know. In fact, of the 181 picks between rounds 2 and 7, 39 of them have played at least 100 NHL games, 14 have played at least 250 games, while 2 have played over 400 games. Given that later round picks have a lower chance of even making it to the show, let alone sticking around for an extended period of time, the fact that so many of these players have already spent so long in the league proves that this class was very, very deep. So based on our findings in this video, I think we can all agree that the 2015 NHL Entry Draft was an overwhelming success. After all, not only did the top prospects clearly live up to their hype, an impressive number of later round picks have also earned full-time gigs in the show. Because of this, I think there is a compelling argument to be made that the 2015 draft is one of the greatest drafts in the history of the National Hockey League. Just look at the picks that are in the league over 7 years later, and look at the numbers they are currently putting up. If that doesn't convince you, I don't know what will. Some selections didn't pan out, and plenty of players never made it to the league, but compared to other drafts across NHL history, 2015 clearly stands out as one of the best we have ever seen. And on that note, I'm going to end today's video. That was a look at why the 2015 NHL Entry Draft was absolutely insane. What do you guys think about this draft or the players that were taken? Do you think that it's one of the best drafts in NHL history, or did your favourite team make some bad selections and miss out on all the fun? I mean, the Rangers didn't even have a first round draft pick, so we didn't even get to take part. Let me know in the comments below. I do want to hear what you guys think, but thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye. A big thank you to Bexy93, Burned Retinas, Drew Fawcett, Houston NG, Raquel, and Worthless Pieces for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.